other hand, the ex-DCI boss George Kinoti alleges, which is against the DPP, using unorthodox means to develop the interagency terrorism guidelines. I think it's one of the biggest issues that have come out. Forging personal details of 2 senior police officers during a meeting in Naivasha. Hiring a faceless professional consultant during the drafting and formulation of the guidelines. Faking signatures of police officers. Perjury and fraud. Where does this leave us when you have, you know, these men, of course, like what Prof is saying, at the center of this, you know, the criminal justice system, you know, trading accusations like this at the base? They're supposed to serve for the interest of, you know, public.
You know, one thing, Zainab, boy, I don't want to delve much into it. Much of those allegations.
Right.
I'm on record that I have filed around 18 petitions against the DPP.
Okay.
So I wouldn't want to delve so much on it.
Right.
But all that we are saying, and I want to come into very clearly, is that this government seems to be still politically looking or witch hunting the government of retired President Uhuru Kenyatta. Mm-hmm. The whole of it, the story of the campaign of Kenya Kwanza was premised on the excesses of the security apparatus.
All right.
They still are moving that direction, and we are seeing quite a number of issues in the security sector coming up, which raises a question, and I raised this question yesterday in another forum, that are we now likely to have a police force that is recruited that serves for 5 years? After the government, the new government comes in, the police must go home, then we have a new police force coming in. The reason as to why the framers of the Constitution left the police under the executive. The police is just a tool to be used by the executive. Is because in running a country, security is key in running a country. Now, when we are dealing with real open issues about security, about who killed who, about what it is, about disbanding the special unit, because you've heard the president in a church service. I was watching NTV in a church service in Kericho, completely called the police killers. When the commander-in-chief, the head of the police, calls his troops killers, how do Kenyans deal with that? I also watched on NTV because it's my favorite channel.
That's good.
It is, and everybody knows that I watch NTV TV. When I was watching it at Mashujaa Day, again the head of state in a speech still moves with that direction. The question I want us to move with my colleagues is, what is the net effect to the citizens in Kayole? What is the net effect to the citizens in West Mugrango? What is the net effect to the citizens outside NTV offices in downtown? A surge of crime. It's actually a surge of crime, and I've been told, I'm not supposed to be reported to, but I've been told as I was coming here, gunshots are now the norm of the day. Because the head of state and the deputy have gone to war with the security apparatus. Who will defend the citizens? Because that should be the bigger picture. Nurdin and Kinoti are people who are well protected. They are people who are well remunerated by the citizens of the slums. How do we deal with our security when from George Kinoti to the Inspector General, to the DPP, to the President, to the Cabinet, to the Deputy President, the war is against security apparatus? That, to me, is the biggest issue that Kenyans, when we are seeing that there are killers within the police. Up to what level or what year are we going to probe? Because we are not only going to look at 2 issues and isolate the many challenges that have been there from 2013 to date, or from 1963 to date. So my view could be this type of talk was uncalled for. This type of political witch hunt is uncalled for, because you remember the Kenya Kwanza campaign was very categorical that the security apparatus were being used against them. It is now very clear it is them again who have turned other security apparatus against the remnants of the security apparatus. So the security is eating itself. Countries worldwide say governments eat their own children. Now we have the security forces called the internal affairs eating other police units within the... So in my view, there should be a truce, and I've seen the president with IPOA. I saw the president yesterday in IPOA in State House through NTV, and I hope sobriety campaigns have come to an end. Let them deal with security matters away from NTV. Let them deal with these matters at the Ministry of Interior, the way I've seen Duale dealing with these matters of the Jeshi outside us. Kenyans, we are alone, and we are going to suffer in a very short time.
But you must agree this is of public interest.
It is of public interest. What is the consequence?
All right.
Me, I'm only looking at the consequence. I'm telling you, Zainab, today I represent quite a number of police officers. No police officer will ever shoot. No police officer will ever give a command in where robbery with violence, carjacking, abduction, where violence, criminals have very sophisticated guns. Terrible, sophisticated guns. If we are now telling the police, arrest a terrorist, the terrorist will come here. By the time anybody is trying to arrest, all of them are dead. So let us not trivialize security matters because of political issues.
All right.
We know George Kinoti was not for Kenya Kwanza.
Okay.